Great.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. And today I've got the fabulous Louise Porter with us. Hi, Louise, how are you?
I'm very well. How about yourself, Saskhia? It's great to see you, and thank you for inviting me along to your podcast.
Oh, thank you, Louise. It's so nice to see you again. I'm doing all right, actually. Yeah, the summer's come in, so I can't wait for that to come along. And yeah, thanks for coming along and sharing your time with us and sharing your views.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the listeners more about yourself, where you're from and what you do?
Yes, happy to share. I'm from Cardiff originally. I run a music production company.
Yeah.
And what I do is I discover talent. I'm really into quality, so it doesn't really matter. And I invest in the artists if they can't afford to pay for recording or rehearsal studio time.
Yeah.
If I discover talent, I really get behind it. So yeah, I started off in Cardiff. I was a singer myself originally. I started singing publicly from the age of 8.
Okay.
And a very musical family, and encouraged by my parents. All my siblings were musicians, and Welsh, we're really into our music there anyway, in Wales. And and as I got older, I joined a band in Cardiff, and we did quite a few gigs there. And we decided, myself and the guitarist, who was my primary songwriter, we decided to move up to London, take our chances here.
Right. Okay.
So we did that I was 19, so 1979. Yeah, I've been in the business a long time. And the group split up. It was a group called True Wheel.
Oh, nice name.
Really, really great. Thank you. Really great name. Band looking back. And but at the time there wasn't much of a scene in Cardiff. It was really hard to break through. Yeah. So we split up. I'm very ambitious, determined to have a career in music. But ironically, the other half of the group that stayed in Cardiff, the Cardiff scene blew up.
Right.
They got a deal with Ruff Loaderz Records, and they became very successful internationally as well as in the UK. And then 2 of my friends from school, they formed a group, a duo, and they had a number 1 in America. So maybe I should have stayed in Cardiff.
Everything happens for a reason, though, right?
Yeah. I don't regret moving here. I've had amazing opportunities. So with my band that we formed here, I was able to get a songwriting deal initially with EMI Music, and they used to give us free studio time in those days, and they kind of would pop in. Very lucky. It was a different world then. And people would pop in and have a listen, and eventually they offered us a deal with EMI Records, which was fabulous. So got to work with some amazing producers. Thank you. And I started at that time to develop, so that I wasn't relying. I had my own taste in music. I've always been a soul girl, into dance music, Motown kind of, and not a rock girl.
Very deep.
But ironically,
and full of love. It's very deep and meaningful, isn't it? And full of passion.
Yeah, and I love, syncopation and groove.
Yeah.
And I love great musicianship. So yeah, so I kind of wanted to, and I've been offered a lot of kind of work. I went on Top of the Pops, singing for an artist, and I've been on the Tube, but it was rock stuff, which I really enjoyed. But my heart I'm a soul girl, an R&B girl. Yeah. So I started writing my own songs, and really enjoyed that. I prefer to be behind the camera, the stage, rather than on it. So as time evolved, I kind of realized I preferred being a producer and a songwriter, and sharing all my experience with other artists. So that's when I started putting girl groups together.
Okay, so tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. Carry on. It's great.
Well, my first girl group, it was at the time, actually, I was asked by a German production company to put a group together for them. And it was around about the time when TLC groups, there was like a huge girl group, American girl group explosion.
TLC.
And just after Spice Girls, yeah, actually, no, what happened, I started my first girl group, Entice, four amazing girls.
Remember them?
Oh, they were fabulous, ahead of their time. And they did very, very well and got a huge deal in America. And so that's just as the Spice Girls were coming out. And actually, the Spice Girls came to see me when they were looking for a manager. Fabulous girls. But I just started my group Entice, and obviously they went with major management at that time. So it's been amazing to see how well they've done. And I think they've reformed again, I think, recently. All five of them, I think, which is great.
But that'd be great if they do.
That'd be wonderful. And so Entice did very, very well. Then it was a lot of work because people don't really want to help until you start making money. So I've had to juggle up financing, organising it all, and doing bits of temp work in between, because it takes a couple of years before you see any return on your investment, any money, when you're developing a girl group. And you have to kind of change the lineup sometimes if it's not working or people might want to leave. So Entice did very well, and after they kind of peaked, I wanted to take a 6-month break because it'd been a lot of work. So I was working with solo artists. So I took a solo artist along to a dance class just off Oxford Street one Sunday afternoon. And I saw Alicia Dixon. She was also at the dance class. Yeah, Alicia, who is in my group Mis-Teeq. She's also a judge on Britain's Got Talent. She's done brilliantly, won Strictly Come Dancing. And I saw her. I saw her and I thought, no, I need a break, but I couldn't resist her. So I happened to know her dance, the chap taking the dance class. So I said, can you introduce me to a young dancer? And he said, yeah. And I said to her, look, I'm putting a girl group together. Would you like to be in it? And she said, yes. And I had my own recording studio at the time with my songwriting partner, Dave Brown in Waterloo. So we started, she'd come down, she lived in Hertfordshire, long way to come for rehearsals. And ironically, she said when she was going home after meeting me on the train, somebody else approached her to be in a girl group as well. So luckily I got in there first. Chances of that, but obviously most beautiful,
very talented
young lady. So, and then Sabrina joined, I think a year later. Went through a few different people because, as you can imagine, finding people of the standard of Alicia in terms of talent and beauty,
it's not easy.
Not easy, and height and everything.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so, in those days, you had to have a kind of uniform type looking group, apart from if you were going to go down the Spice Girls route. It was a distinctive look and a distinctive sound. And then eventually Sue Elise came along. And I think within a couple of months of Sue Elise joining the group, I managed to get them a record deal. And then after that, it just blew up. So it was fantastic for them. And I like to encourage the artists I work with to have a long career.
Yes.
So I do encourage them to write songs and, understand the business side of it all as well.
Super important.
So yeah. So, and they did very, very well. Sold 12 million records. I think they could reform now and make another album.
I hope so.
And fingers crossed, they'd be great.
Never know.
And they're so popular right across the board. Older people, younger people. Really lovely. And even now, they split up, I think, 2004. People, they're still in the papers from time to time.
Yeah, they are.
So,
they've done some great work.
Yeah, so I always try to you know, be inclusive and support people. If someone's got the talent,
Yeah,
I will invest in them.
but that's a risk.
And
That's a big risk to take, especially in music. It's
but
not easy to do that, is it?
huge risk. But I find that if someone's really talented, they will break through eventually. I've
Yeah,
been working with a young artist, Tammy Mariah,
I follow
and
her on
she's
Instagram.
just, oh,
Yeah,
brilliant.
she's great. I love her
she,
music actually.
you love what, sorry?
I love her music actually. Yeah, she's great. She's
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
she writes it all herself, the music, the lyrics. She's got a very clear idea of the kind of artist she wants to be, an incredible voice.
Yeah,
And so I haven't really worked with anybody. I haven't really been that excited by anyone for years until
yeah.
I met Tammy Mariah over lockdown.
Okay. And when you're
I
looking,
did try putting
it's
I
okay.
did try putting together a girl. I did try putting a girl group together in 2017,
Okay.
and they were an amazing group. But I realised I was a bit out of touch because I hadn't put a girl group together for at least 10 years.
Okay.
And I didn't understand 18 and 19-year-olds. So I actually stopped to do as part of my MBA course. So I've also been studying as well during this time, a dissertation on generations X, Y, and Z and Alpha, and what motivates them in music. So I feel I can understand and connect more. So I could possibly put another girl group together now that I feel I can connect.
I think you can. And there must be a kind of formula that you've kind of learned along the way. So if you're looking for something new and refreshing, what is it that draws you to that group? What is it that, I know you might be telling your secrets, you don't have to answer this question, but it's such a great one
I'm
to
happy.
wow.
I'm happy to share, and I wish more people would put girl groups together.
Who do I?
They've got to be. They can't look like they're manufactured,
Okay.
even though they are. They've got to be individual, real artists, and have above all want to do it more than anything else in life,
Yeah.
because you don't want to spend a lot of money on time on somebody developing them, and then they'll say, sorry, I'm off to uni now,
Yeah.
or I want to get a job, or I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah.
because they're part of a team that lets down the other girls. So and then confidence, and of course talent. I
Yeah.
mean, as long as they've got the potential for that talent to to be to be developed, and they're willing
Yeah.
to put the work in,
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking for, really. And it's, you know, the old cliche, they've got to have the X factor.
That's amazing. So it is that
So
that
yeah,
uniqueness,
yeah,
that nerve and the talent. Like you've got to have that combination. It's like a whole package, isn't it, Louise?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you.
absolutely. And
Thank,
nowadays I wouldn't try to have a kind of uniform group.
yeah, yeah.
I would go for whoever's got the talent, and that's what I love about music now. You don't have to be a model.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
true.
have to look a specific way. As long as you've got the talent, that's all people care about. So that's the primary thing for me. The voice. The
Yeah.
voice has got to be there, or the rapping skills.
Okay. I like that. A combination of both
Yeah.
is great as well. If you can do both, then that's even better, isn't it? And songwrite, you know.
The only problem is that nowadays, as well, in a girl group, you've got to be able to dance as well,
Yeah, that's
and
another
the
factor, isn't it?
standard of dancing is,
Yeah.
yeah, is quite high. And I have met people with amazing voices that, you know, just don't have the groove to dance, and that's not something you can really teach. You can develop dance skills, but if someone doesn't really have the initial basic skills,
Yeah.
it's really hard.
I think you're born
It's
with that.
so then I'd encourage someone to go solo then, so they don't have to be prancing around everywhere.
Yeah. And you didn't just focus on girl bands, you also looked at boy bands as well, didn't you? And went with some of them as well in the past. Is that right?
Well, accidentally, I was developing actually a little. Oh, they were the most gorgeous young boys. I think they were called M2K. There were three boys, and one of their mums contacted me, and they were a mini boy group. They were 9 to 13, I think. They were adorable. So I was kind of. I'm always wary when you're working with children. You've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Not to promise them anything. You've got to be realistic with them. And actually, I think two of the boys went on to star as Michael Jackson in Thriller.
Right.
So that's how good they were, totally.
Yes.
And they had their dance routines and everything. So I kind of fell into that, helping them along. And then I was also starting a new girl group. This was around about 2007. And two chaps who later became JLS, Arishay and Marvin, and another chap.
Yeah.
I work at Dance Attic Studios in Fulham.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Fabulous place, wonderful place. And they came to reception. I think they'd heard I was there, and they asked. I was upstairs in the building working with the girl group, and did I have the young boys in that day? I'm not sure. I think I was with the girl group. And they said, can they meet me? And I said, well, you send them up, but explain I'm a girl group specialist.
Yeah.
And of course, I've only got so much money. I can't invest it and all my time into several projects. So, and I was already committed to this girl group I'd started. So they came up and they all sang for me. I thought they were great, but I said, I don't think any of you are Luther Vandrosses, but they were good pop singers. But at the time they were soloists, and it's you've got to be at that standard. And I said my advice would be form a boy group and then go on X Factor. And I said, if you want to do that, I'll help you. So obviously Marvin and Arishay came back. They went away and had a think about it. Marvin and Arishay came back and said, yeah, they'd like to do it, but the other chap wanted to pursue his solo career, which is fine. Yeah. So we started looking around, but actually they found their friends, Aston and then Jonathan later, and they applied for X Factor. At that time, you couldn't have a manager, it was all in-house. So unfortunately, I had to step back from it.
Yeah.
But very, very happy for them and how well they've done. And again, they've reformed as well. They've had so many hits as well. People love them.
Exactly.
And I'd gone through a few. I contacted some of my people in the music business to tell them I got this amazing boy group. They didn't have a name at the time. They came up with that name later. No one was really interested. So that's when I said, boys, go straight to the public because the public will love you. Factor. And this is the tricky thing being an artist, you see. It's hard to get a meeting with an A&R person. And then if they're not into your music, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to get anywhere. And nowadays, they won't even look at you or have a meeting with you unless you've got a proper fan base on social media.
Yeah. This is part of the problem, isn't it? And if you have the money and you've got you might have the talent, you might have the passion, you might have the dedication, but sometimes it is that money that's holding you back. What kind of advice would you give to us that that are struggling, that have got that talent, have got that passion, but there's always those financial barriers? What kind of advice could you give to people like that?
Well, a lot of people are doing it themselves now, making their own music and releasing it themselves. You need a really good distributor because the distributors really have taken place of the record companies.
Yes.
And a distributor like The Orchard is actually part owned by Sony.
That's right.
So you're actually getting the Sony services through the Orchard, and there's DistroKid. There's quite a few distributors, but the best thing, if you don't want to go down that route and you still want to try and get a record deal, is to work with people like myself. Because with Tammy Mariah, I brought in the Mis-Teeq choreographer.
Right, okay.
I brought in my people.
Yes.
And who can walk into Radio 1 and get the meetings with the TV producers and what have you. And Tammy, she also hired, you know, a great PR team herself, local radio, national radio, club promotions. That's very important to do that, get a track out in the clubs.
Yes.
Tammy was recently number 7 in the Music Week commercial club charts, because that's read by people like people in the music business. They read the Music Week magazine.
Yes.
So a lot of people would have seen that. And you can do it fairly cheaply yourself. It's pretty cool now to make lyric videos. You don't have to spend a fortune making a very expensive video.
Yeah.
I think Sam Smith, one of his tracks, he'd only made a lyric video and it charted straight away. Obviously, he's a big artist, but it used to be you could spend a fortune on a video. So there's lots of ways of doing it yourself. If you're going to do it yourself, you need to build up that fan base and release regularly tracks every 5-6 weeks. But I do advocate to build up that YouTube, that Facebook, that Instagram audience and go live regularly and engage your fans. And you can also make a little bit of money, because you can have patrons who will support you and pay money every month on YouTube. You can have super chats when you're live, when people will send you money. I think YouTube takes 30% of everything, but it all mounts up. So there's lots of ways people can help themselves. I'd encourage, depending where an artist lives, to go to networking events as well.
That's
and
really
get out there, get in the scene.
Yeah.
Really important. You meet other musicians you can collaborate with. You can share all your contacts. I did a lot of networking last year with, and this year? Yeah, last year and this year with Tammy Mariah.
Fantastic.
Met so many amazing people.
Yeah.
And I met my old, some of my old acquaintances again as well.
That's really, really
who are very senior in the business now. Yeah. So it's a lot of, I'd say it's harder nowadays to break through, because so many people are doing it themselves. But if you've really got the talent, you will get there.
In the end.
It's just about believing in yourself. And if you can't afford it, you need to find people like myself who are willing to invest in artists.
Absolutely.
And you can find lists of managers in the Music Week directory. Go into the library if you can't afford to buy that.
Research.
And there should be a copy in every library. And then it's just a case of contacting people. And yet, if you've got an artist that you're a fan of, this is what I'd advise to people. Find out who their manager is, find out who their agent is, who is their record label, and maybe target them, because at least you'll know they're into your kind of music. If you're making music like the people you follow.
I think that's great advice. And obviously, looking back at your own career, Louise, and you've been in the industry for so many years. What kind of issues and barriers you had to personally overcome to obviously do all of these things? Because you've done so much for other people. You've kind of come from being an artist to a manager to a publisher. You've gone through so many different roles.
Thanks.
That's breathtaking. So how have you managed to do all that, and what barriers have you overcome?
Well, it's because I love it primarily. I love being in the studio. I love creating music. And obviously I left home. I left my family and everyone in Cardiff to come to London. So I had no choice. I had to make it. I don't want to go back home embarrassed. I didn't succeed. And it was definitely easier. There were less female singers in my day, in the late 70s, 80s, less competition for me. Although I was, soul music, white soul music, I guess, was not as well supported. by labels in the
Yeah.
80s and 90s, because
Yeah.
I guess I was like a Madonna type artist.
Okay.
Bit of pop, bit of dance.
Yeah.
And
Sad the
obviously Madonna was already there. She was
Okay.
American. So yeah, they're primarily more into kind of rock, and then, you know, well, punk initially,
So you
generally in the music
hold a
business.
lot.
It used to go, yeah, used to go through phases. Now I love music now that people love everything.
Yeah.
I meet young artists and I ask them, who do you like? And they say, oh, Genesis, yes.
Yeah.
Zeppelin. I'm like, what?
Yeah, they're so
You know,
diverse.
you're 17.
Yeah.
I think that's with the streaming, you got access to so much music.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so you know, I've been very, very lucky. The pitfalls I had were, you know, the pros and cons of being a female in the music business. In order to break through, I really had to get totally on top of my game. I
Yeah.
had to learn how to program music,
Okay.
sing it,
Right.
write it.
That's
I
good.
had to more or less outdo every, you know, other people as much as I could to break through. But
Right.
as I say, I've always gone for quality, and I've
Yeah.
always worked with quality musicians, producers, and that's the best thing, is to not, you know, not experiment. Don't be a guinea pig for somebody else who's learning. Try and find the very best producers and songwriters, or even if they're young and they're just still developing their
Yeah.
style, you'll be able to hear that the potential's there.
Yeah.
So it's always, you know, demanding the higher standard if you can.
I think that's really, really good advice, actually. And thank you for sharing that as well. So, do you think kind of cultural
And,
and differences as
and
well?
believe believing in yourself as well. Sorry, Saskia.
No, that's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Sorry.
Do you think kind of cultural and age differences also have a kind of part to play in how far we can diversify this music industry landscape and what kind of happens and when? Or do you think it's mainly run by the younger generations?
Well, the networking events that I went to last year and this year, there were different types. There were ones that were kind of my age,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, and it was very interesting. And they're the, you know, the people at the moment kind of running the business, and I found that was still very male dominated.
yes.
And I went to one big networking event, and a young girl came up to me and she said, nobody's speaking to me. I said, don't worry, I'll speak to you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I've
So
seen that.
so yeah, but that's the older generation.
Yeah.
And I've also been to the
Young,
other networking events with younger people. It's like night and day. Friendly, open, integrating, everybody talking to one another, everyone being allowed to be themselves.
yeah.
And that's the future of music. That's where it's going, and I'm excited about that.
So am I actually. And thank you for sharing that because I notice the same things. And I'm generally going to those people that
Have
are
you?
by themselves for not being introduced or, feel a bit uncomfortable because I know that feeling. And it can be horrible. But when someone else comes up
Yeah,
to you, says, hi, how are you? It just makes you feel so much better, doesn't it? A little bit more welcome.
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
The problem is obviously the people that kind of older generation like myself, they've already got, you know, had their success. They've already
yeah.
got their clients. They don't really need to reach out to anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind of person, I do always, you know, like to encourage the next generation
That's
and
beautiful.
discover new talent, and bring them in,
Yeah.
bring people into the industry.
That's super important. That's super, super important. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And if the listeners want to find you, Louise, or connect with you or find out about your artists and the work that you're doing at the moment, how can they do that?
Well, my company is Big Out Limited, and I'm
Yeah,
on all the social media. I'm on LinkedIn as well
fantastic.
as Louise Porter. If anyone wants to connect, then there.
Yeah,
But everyone wants to send me a message on Instagram. I always reply to people.
that's lovely. Thank you so much. I'll leave your description below. And we've obviously
Yeah.
touched on some of your major wins and successes. But obviously, is there anything you want to share with us with your artists coming up or anything that you're doing that you want to share or want to promote with us at the moment?
Yeah, I think what I've learned from working with artists recently. Obviously, if anyone could support Tammy Mariah, that's Tammy, Mariah, as in Mariah Carey. That's her real name. And she was named after Tammy Wynette and Mariah Carey. Mariah, Mariah. She's got quite a few followers on TikTok. She does quite a lot of acting skits as well. She's brilliant. She's a brilliant actress too. So if anyone interested in following Tammy Mariah, that'd be terrific. I discovered myself recently, actually. I'm going to start promoting myself again because I can still sing.
Go on.
Only last year,
I
at one of my networking events, I bumped into a garage god, and he had loads of hits. And he was telling me he's on YouTube, and I thought, well, I wonder if I'm on YouTube. And I went on YouTube, and I discovered that a track I'd recorded in 1989
is on YouTube.
They didn't know who I was.
Go on, Lou.
Yes, and I said, like, someone's remixed it into a drum and bass track, and I didn't. And it was released in 1994. They didn't know it was me because it's under my artist name, Love Bass.
Okay.
And I only discovered last year that it'd been released, and it was this drum and bass sort of rave anthem.
Wow.
And there was like 165,000 views of one mix of it on YouTube, and all these comments. So I thought, great. Wow. So I might re-record that track and release it myself. So not as a drum and bass, more of a pop dance. Just for fun, I'm make a lyric video.
I'll leave that.
That's the great thing, you can. That's the great thing about lyric videos, and so age doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
As long as you and the British public, we've always embraced. We love people.
Difference. Yeah, that's what.
If we love. If we love their talent,
yeah.
So if you've got any talent, if you've got a good voice, you're a good singer, I would just get out there and do something.
Go for it, and just don't stop and follow your heart and stay passionate and dedicated. I think that's advice. Oh, thank you, Lou. I've really enjoyed. It's a great
time to do music.
Yeah. I think it's a great time for change as well. So if you're in the right place at the right time, doing stuff as well, I think that really helps, because I think there's a lot of change going on right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and positive change, I think.
I hope so. Yeah. Step by step, we will get there. And it's been such a pleasure. I hope you have a great weekend. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story and with your vision.
My pleasure.
And your inspiration. Just keep up the amazing work.
I'm wishing everybody the very best. Believe in yourselves and go out there and do it. Don't let anybody, be negative or stop you. Just believe in yourself.
Thank you so much. And I've got a few tracks coming out soon, so I'm going to send them your way. And I'd love to.
I
definitely will.
I wanted to know what you were doing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a long week, and I'm keeping busy, and I'm following my heart, following my dreams.
Right.
I know it's not meant to be easy, and it isn't. But I love what I do, like you said, and I really resonate with a lot of the things you said. And I'm just going to keep going, like you said, keep going, because I know it's what I'm meant to do. So I'm just going to follow my heart and believe, because I think that's really, really important.
That sounds fabulous, Saskia.
Thanks,
Wish you all the very best. I'm excited to hear what you're going to do.
Thanks. I'll send you some bits soon, and you look after yourself and take care.
Lovely.
Thank you.
You too. Have a great weekend.
You.
Bye for now, Saskia. Take care. Bye.